Roger, you seen this?
Oh yeah. Look.
Yeah.
这是什么呀？他录个视频。你是他导游？没有。
Yeah, the film.
Stop.
Okay.
What you experienced right there, it's called tyranny. And people saw that it was very rich, that it happened to you, of all people, saw the irony, and reacted accordingly. The world. Long journey, perfection, completion, conclusion, reward, prize, the universe, including the four seasons, the material world, supported by divine imagination, powered through intelligence and wisdom. Keep connected to the world whilst nurturing spirituality and inner needs. You will thrive with the right mix. 10 of Swords, affliction, sadness, grief, pain, grievances. We can let things drag us down or pick ourselves up and move on. Fate, when the chips are down. It's only a matter of time and choice before turning the page. 10 of Coins, wealth, security, prosperity, gain, height of success, family matters, posterity, archives, generations, family home, lodging, domestic economics, savings, pension, sustainable losses, gambling. I see, said the monster. The swarm of fiends kept attacking Lolcow Rancho. Crazy conservatives and alienated scum from the slums of Happyville. Listen to me, hallucinators, said Hasan, gravely and sternly. Your false narratives will not bring me down. Nobody tells me how to treat my dogs. You people are obsessed and stupid, said Hasan, after waves and waves of dastardly fiends maliciously accusing Hasan with no other proofs than videos and screenshots of every single detail that happened in the case. Hasan took a plane to fly over the great mountain of Happyville to China, where he would find solace, freedom, and tranquility amongst his peers. I know this is going to sound like a broken record already because it kind of is, but what happens is that if people like Hasan stopped pestering so much about every single thing that they don't like about the Western world, with the systematic system of oppression, people wouldn't feel the need to repeat it over and over and over again. But imagine if somewhere in the West you showed a meme about the president and literally 10 seconds later you have a cop directly in front of your face asking for your phone and your information, and they are questioning what you're doing and reprehended you for it. Imagine the scandal. Imagine the amount of surveillance that you need somewhere in order to be that effective and fast in a response for something so little. So actually little. Actually, Hasan didn't do anything offensive. I have no idea what is more ridiculous and childish, to make a montage image of the picture of the body of a politician with your face on it, or reacting with the police about it. I'm gonna have to defend Hasan here. It's just a meme, bro. Imagine anywhere in the American continent or Europe getting robbed or experiencing any emergency like that, getting attacked by somebody, and the cops being so fast. I mean, I get it. He was in a public event. It was some patriotic events that I have not a lot of information about, but you get the idea. How did they see it? He just pulled out the phone. How did they see it so fast? You can see the moment where he realizes and his eyes just change and he like you can tell his face is like I fucked up.
So we are all becoming Chinese. Okay.
When the time is right, you will look in the mirror and already be Chinese.
Yes, the time is right for us. Like we are already there. Oh yeah, there. Yeah. Roger, you seen this?
Oh yeah.
Look. Yeah.
这是什么呀？他录个视频。你是他导游？没有。
We're at the film.
Stop。
Okay.
我是他导游啊。他就过来，稍等一下。行，你是导游啊？问问他那个，问问他那刚直播那什么东西。让他拿出来给我看一下。
OK， 要看直播的东西是吗？
对，我看一眼刚你那 photo。
So he want to see the photo.
Oh, I didn't take a photo.
就是刚才他录那个，让他找出来。
So have you record anything?
Nope, not yet.
No.
我都看见了。
Yeah, he said he's
直播还是什么呀？
Oh, I was holding the camera out, but I didn't do anything
还
yet.
有个手机和那个背景图。对，拿手机弄一背景，那是什么东西？把那打出来。
No recording?
刚才那个背景。
So he want to see the background of your.
Oh, of my phone?
Yeah.
Sure.
Or like a live show or.
Other
yeah.
phone.
Oh. I have another phone.
Good on there, but my internet is not so good. Okay, we'll
On your-
flip it back.
the-
Okay,
the
we're
internet
back,
on your
we're
phone
back,
isn't
we're
good?
back. We're back.
We're
What's
just
up,
waiting for Will
everybody?
to get out of the bathroom now.
Yeah.
Which I wonder if there's a line for the bathroom. Oh, you got him?
Oh, he's right there.
Let's go.
Right there.
Oh. Should we walk catch up to him?
They didn't
Maybe
even.
stop being less of a foreigner.
They didn't even give us trouble because they were like, "You guys are Chinese."
No.
Yeah, they're like, oh, you're actually good.
They said my bad. They said my bad.
Yeah, they definitely said that.
I'm gonna dial back my excitement. Maybe I'm a little too excited, and they had never seen a swagged out white boy like me before.
Well, they have, and they know what you're like.
No,
That's why they're like
no.
paying
They,
attention.
no, they think that you're.
You are
When they
kind of
see
hard to
someone-
miss.
When they see someone like myself wearing a fucking bright yellow jacket like this, like
Right, you're
dancing around,
screaming Chinese.
they're dancing around. They probably think I'm like here to make jokes.
Where are you guys?
A couple of people in my previous video were talking about all the benefits of communism. And it doesn't matter how much you explain things, because when people make up their minds about something, they usually don't change. Regardless if you put all the information and evidence and education about it, they'll simply turn a blind eye to it and twist it somehow and still remain stubborn about it. But this is the immediate response to all of your questioning. Right here.
Oh yeah.
In 10 seconds.
Look. Yeah.
这是什么呀？他录个视频。你是他导游？没有。
We're at the film.
Stop。
Okay.
There is this whole segment of Hasan explaining the whole thing, like what happened and everything. It's a longer video, but I am going to include only this segment right here because I feel that it really explains why people in general react the way they react and why it will continue to happen the same way pretty much forever. Whenever somebody online or anywhere stumbles upon somebody that hard-headed and short-sighted. I mean, I know you wear glasses, but god damn it. I mean, people's breath, I feel probably like runs out by the sheer awestruck of witnessing when somebody can barely see beyond like the tip of their nose and have such a hard head is mesmerizing.
Who has a ton of haters will then have something happen that gets highlighted to mainstream media. We can't keep doing this, okay? It's especially funny because I have been shot at by American police while live streaming constitutionally protected, First Amendment protected acts of free protest and free demonstration in the United States of America. I have been tear gassed in France. I have been tear gassed in America. No news coverage. 1 minute conversation with a Chinese cop outside of Tiananmen Square where there's like a misunderstanding. And all of a sudden, this is like the worst international incident. I do not understand how this is. Like, that's crazy. That's crazy. That is actually crazy. When cops shoot at you in LA during protests, your haters defend the cops. Since you're in China, it's different. I know, but like, it seems like they're defending China. What is this? The meme that gets seen won't be tough guy wins without lifting a finger. Do nothing win. He was wearing a Hongjun uniform and the guy in the hat probably thought he was joking. The pictures in his live stream weren't malicious, but the young soldiers definitely wouldn't be happy to see them, lol. He wasn't arrested by questions. Some anti-China individuals on foreign websites are making fun of that clip. Yeah, I will state this one more time, okay? I will state this one more time for people that don't understand it. I know this doesn't need to be repeated in this community. Obviously, you guys are aware of this. You've been around. But like, the reality of the matter is, briefly being questioned by a cop outside of Tiananmen Square is, you know, it's a unique moment of stress. It happens, right? But like, what is so insane to me is that like, I'm a person who has had altercations with American police. I'm a person who's had altercations with police in European capitals. I've interacted with cops all around the world. I've gone to protests. I've been tear gassed. I've been pepper sprayed. You know, I've been stun grenaded. Like a stun grenade exploded in my head, like near my head, me and March's head, when we were in Los Angeles in my own backyard.
They haven't thrown anything gas yet, but they'll start throwing. Oh, are you good?
And it's so crazy, that brief interaction of like one young Chinese cop slash soldier, I don't know if he was a cop or if he was a soldier or not, like showing up to be like, what the f***'s on your phone? And like having like a 1 minute altercation has been blown up into this much more significant thing. Like, I've been detained by my own country, man. Like, I've been detained by my own country, my own country's Customs and Border Protection and Customs and Border Patrol. And we're talking about like a cop coming up and being a little aggro. What does he say? Hasan Piker declares, I don't have any patriotism for America while streaming from Tiananmen Square. No, I said, I don't have any patriotism in general.
I don't have any sort of patriotism in my heart
For
any, yeah, for America, but just in general. I'm not like a very, you know, I care about people.
Like,
The police in the United States and Europe, like you said, responds to you harshly in the way that you see them responding because you are participating in hostile protests that disrupt the order, and the law enforcers, even though we don't like it a lot of times, react accordingly. I'm going to give an example. In the city where I live in, I have been stopped by the police more times than what I can count for just like walking in the middle of the street at a certain hour or something like that, or looking a certain way. I don't know, I'm in my 30s, and cops are sometimes very prejudiced to stuff like, to profiles like mine. If they see me, messy hair, rings in my fingers, grungy outfit, it's like you are profiled as maybe this guy he's a user, maybe he's up to something, I don't know. I don't like it. It's not fair, to be honest. It's not fair. I don't go out and do any kind of cry out about it, because at the end of the day, I also understand that I live in a conflictive place in the world, and it's gonna happen. That stereotype, even if I like it or not, I don't do drugs. I barely even drink, like twice a year maybe. But it's not fair for me, but I look like some kind of stereotype. And based on the issues that police officers see often, it's fairly natural that they're gonna assume that maybe I'm up to something and they stop me. Nothing worse than that has ever happened, but they stop you, they check you, they detain you for like half an hour, asking you questions, being a pain in the ass. One time, some cop took money from me, and I was pissed off. But you have to compromise. You have to take in all of the reality around you. Is it extremely dystopian? Yes, of course it is. Isn't it that a lot of people my age, with a certain type of look, walking around in certain areas of the city, isn't it also the case that they're probably up to something? Yes, that is sadly also the case. Should we all work to fix those issues? Definitely. But meanwhile, that is the reality. Same thing happened with you. I know Hasan is not really listening. I'm talking more to the people, the viewers. I have seen gunshots. I have seen dead people. I have seen crime rampant. I have experienced it. They broke into my house. It's real. If I swallow my pride and remove myself from the equation, it is better to have people reacting like that instead of not reacting at all and not having them at all and just let everybody run even more rampant. That is sadly the truth, even if I like it or not. Same thing happened in this protest that you speak of. Protests that seem to be for a fair cost, but at the end of the day amount to nothing, and that they serve people far, far, far away from any of the issues that they are claiming to be fighting for, and for the people that take part of those groups that they say that they fight for. It's all fake. And in China, you weren't doing that. You weren't disrupting the order for this young, innocent officer. I'm pretty sure he was. I don't have anything against Chinese people or anything like that. Why should I? I don't have anything against any country, to be honest. Sometimes I talk shit because I'm a douche. And I'm Mexican. And Mexicans are rude and assholes and rough. Maybe one person out there could actually see the issue and understand and be like, well, I didn't see it that way. Maybe when I stumble upon something like this again, I will reconsider my opinions before I just go crazy and follow a narrative for somebody. Don't take sides in this kind of political shit, by the way. So yeah, the reason why people react the way they reacted with this very tame encounter you had here, it's because you weren't doing anything. You showed a completely harmless meme that wouldn't have been anything. It wasn't even that some random civilian saw it and was like, hey, that's very offensive to me. Don't do that. It would have been different. But this was the law enforcement. There is a certain level of behavior that is very different if it comes from a civilian and if it comes from a law enforcement or any kind of agent of the government. What you experienced right there, it's called tyranny. And people saw that it was very rich, that it happened to you, of all people, saw the irony, and reacted accordingly. Also, about the patriotism thing. Yeah, people feel that is kind of shitty because, I understand the sentiment. Every country has a lot of flaws, and you don't like that. And I'm not talking about Hasan, I'm talking about anybody, me included. The reason why it's, how could I say it, important maybe? Significant, there you go. The reason why it's significant to see somebody that has some kind of loyalty or devotion to their country in some way, it's because it shows loyalty. Having some kind of loyalty to a specific place has a lot of connotations, including having loyalty to the people that form that place. If you're willing to be loyal to your country, you're willing to be loyal to your people. Now, using country as synonymous to people, if you have some kind of loyalty to your country, some kind of liking to your country in some form, you don't have to be a hyper patriot or anything like that. You just need to have some kind of esteem for your country, identifying somehow with your country, with something about it. I mean, no, you don't have to, but when you do, it shows that you are willing to defend your country, that your attempts to try to improve it are more genuine if you actually love the place than if you don't. I didn't used to understand this until I grew up later on in life. And now I see it. I'm gonna give another quick example here because I live in a town. I live in Tijuana. I am from Tijuana. This city is a pass-by city. This city is kind of a shithole. Not really, but it is. But yeah, but no. You have to be here to understand. But it's dirty and it has a lot of issues. But if you move here, you might end up falling in love with the city somehow. That happens. People come here because they want to cross to the US. And they come from all over the place, all over the world. And they're just waiting to pass to the US, to cross to the US. Which means that most of those people don't really have roots here, don't really care for the city. Their plan is not to be here. It's not to stay here and make a life here. Their plan is to just be here for as much as they need until they can cross to California. People don't have roots or affection or interest in this city. And those are the people who end up leaving the city in the situation that it is right now. Brimming with crime, filth, and disorder. They don't care. Why should they? They're not going to stay here. They don't want to make this place their home. And it took me years to accept that fact too. Because my family is migrants. They are not from this town. They are from the south. But the difference is that they chose to be here because they wanted to be here. They made this place their home and they treat it as such. But most people, nationals and foreigners, they don't do the same. A lot do. And the ones that do are the ones that make this city actually interesting and cool. But there's all the rest that don't. And they just throw garbage everywhere. They use it just to do their schemes, let's just call it. They just use it as a tool or a dumping ground. And that is why this place is the way it is. Okay, that's enough of that. I think I've said enough already. Sadly, 90% of the people that are against communist, socialist regimens are people who have either experienced them by themselves or heard enough about those experiences from them in order to know how and why it doesn't work and why would you want to escape said regimen. The other 10% tend to be people who are too far gone and don't know anything any better, and the last 1% are the people that are in charge of enforcing it. They would never talk against it because they would lose the absolute control that they possess. All the advantage and dominion over everybody else that they have, and all of the wealth and influence and privilege that they have hoarded at the expense of their compatriots. You might say, well, capitalism does the same. Yeah. Nobody's defending capitalism, really. Everybody knows that it's the same story. The only people who are truly defending capitalism are capitalists who actually capitalize on capitalism. The closest thing to a sweet spot that we kind of have in most of the Western sphere of the world, it's a capitalistic regimen of economy and laws where you are allowed to grow by yourself, by your own means, as much as you can, according to a series of personal circumstances that you might have, and blah, blah, blah. Plus, a hint of socialism in there with the things that a lot of people are benefited right now in several countries, like free healthcare or partially free healthcare and incentives and schooling and all that kind of stuff. All of that is socialism for all those people who might haven't really considered it. If you get free stuff from the government, that stems from socialism. And that is the key. That is what makes it so attractive. Enjoying the benefits of a regimen like that. The government can't and shouldn't provide everything from you, because the more you become dependent on anything, it doesn't have to be the government, it can be anything or anybody, the more that entity owns you. That is why the other way around, offering all these kind of things, all these kind of benefits, is so attractive to the government to implement and offer to you, because they'll make you dependent, and they can literally make you do whatever they want, because if you don't have anything anymore. You don't have a choice. Same thing with your spouse, with your uncle, the algorithm in YouTube, you name it. Think about that when you are trying to discuss something like this, or just pander about something like this. Can you now see a pattern? Think about this. The same kind of people who push for this socialist movement are the same kind of people that, for example, push for illegal immigrants having the right to vote and having benefits, historical reparations, identity politics, human rights to criminals. First of all, if you have a strong desire to migrate to a country illegally, and there's two sides in that country, and one of them is saying you can't be here because you didn't go through the proper paperwork to do so and have permission to be here, and the other one is saying that you do, regardless of anything, who are you going to vote for? So now you have an infinite voter glitch who is going to be afraid of going against whatever you push and whatever you tell them to do, regardless if they agree or not, or if it's fair for them or not, because you can just take away whatever you gave them at any moment. It's suddenly not as noble and kind-hearted when you really think about it, right? And obviously, don't get me wrong, the government needs to offer to solve things for you, but those things need to be outside of your house and outside of yourself. And by that I mean solve problems of security, of finance, exterior relations, you know what I mean. I don't know why I went to such a long tirade if it doesn't really take a genius to figure these things out. But I needed to say it, so here it was. The monster pandered upon the wide opened horizons of Happy Meal, questioning matters beyond comprehension as he prowled and scoured around the great fields, knowing Hasan would be inside soon enough. Meanwhile, Hasan made some excuse about the whole thing, explaining the situation and what happened. And it's funny that you say that it's perfectly excusable to have the cops arrest you immediately because you said something that the Chinese party didn't like. But if this happened in the other side of the world, you wouldn't stop hearing it for the next 10 years. This is the same guy who said that his shitty LA Wi-Fi was evidence of the systematic violence of the United States. If you pray in silence without any sign or insignia in front of an abortion clinic, it's perfectly okay for the cops to come and arrest you. But shitty Wi-Fi is evidence of systematic violence and oppression in the country that has allowed you to accumulate millions of dollars. In the country where you can talk so much shit about that country and you get zero repercussions about it. In the country where it's against the law to mistreat a dog and then you do it and you don't face any kind of repercussion because you're an important influencer. In the country where you are allowed to live in a residential house with luxury cars and travel all over the world and come back, nonetheless, without having to work a single day of your life, aside from spreading continuous propaganda against the government of that country and its culture, descending from a foreign nation and propagating an exterior belief system. Yet, if you had been born in any country that functions with that system and you did all of those things, you would be dead right now. How's that work? Talk about having grown up as a spoiled little brat. And no, I am not anti China, by the way, or Russia, or anything like that. Aside from the fact that I don't agree with the way they govern their people, I am not just making a politically correct disclaimer or anything like that. I am legitimately fascinated by other cultures in general. I have kind of an anthropologist side to myself, and to China specifically and Russia, well, those regiments have worked for them. They're not completely communist, by the way. And whatever they do has worked for them and has made them prosper. Unlike North Korea and Venezuela and Cuba and all these other countries that I can't even pronounce. What's the name of that country with the huge crater? Whatever. Different things work for different people, to be honest. You can't just go around trying to change other cultures when you don't even know the full background of why that country became the way it is and how. There are so many nuances that can make a culture take one path over another. And we're all so different. We are all so different. And maybe that's a good thing. Whenever one mindset fails and crashes, there's another one different from that one that can rise up and salvage the species pretty much. When we all think and behave the same way and believe in exactly the same thing and that thing fails, we'll all go extinct. As simple as that. And that is just the nature of things. We all consume and enjoy benefits that China produces, goods, everybody. We all do that. I am just glad that I was born where I was born in. I wish I could go there and know the country, but come back. One of my best friends in 5th grade was Chinese. Like straight up Chinese. I almost had a Chinese girlfriend. Not almost. We weren't as far as to be almost something. But we had chemistry there, and you know what kind of ruined it? The language. It was difficult to communicate because she spoke mainly Chinese and she struggled. That was the main barrier that didn't allow anything to really happen. Made it really awkward and difficult. I liked her. My first ever girlfriend could have been Chinese. But we remained friends, and then eventually she moved on and she married somebody else, and everything was cool. It was the most ideal falling apart that you can imagine. The way it should always happen. Very organic. It's just like, I wish they all happened like that. No drama, nothing. You just kind of move on and slowly just simultaneously realize that this is not gonna work and move on, and no drama or anything. It was like, I wish it was always like that. This is the kind of curveballs that life throws at you to kind of give you a hint, It's those moments when you can realize things and tell yourself, you know what, maybe I've been fucking up a little bit. Or a lot of it. Maybe I could reconsider things and completely break my shackles. Or remain in place and double down. Stagnant. It's up to you, man. It's up to you. Leave it to an anarcho-communist or whatever to believe that moving out of place from the predetermined frame, perfectly curated and planified frame is total chaos and out of control and incomprehensible. Leave it to a communist to tell you that what you saw and what you can figure out with your own common sense and your vision and your experience and your evidence in front of you and your eyes.
Piece of tape. Don't just believe an out of context clip.
It's not
that's
it.
what a lot of you guys are doing. It's like you just see a clip and you see somebody misrepresented and then you just believe it. And that's, you say don't believe your eyes. Yeah, exactly. Don't believe your eyes. Believe
You can see it on
Kaya,
camera.
please just fucking
That
go.
doesn't prove
Just
anything.
Because if she keeps pushing Fiona, Fiona is going to bite. Oh, there we go. Good job, Fiona. You fucking tell her. One thing I will tell you, I've seen her. Kaya is really funny when she's scared. Being scared, but it gives me anxiety. Maybe it's me. No, I want her to bite her. What do you mean? That they had to chop it. Run away like a fucking goofball crying. It's the funniest thing on the fucking planet.
Collar's too tight.
Well, it's here we go.
It's you have to be able to get 2 fingers, and I couldn't even get one. I think you're choking her.
She's like, it's a lot of neck meat.
Sit.
Stay. If you run right now, I'll f***ing kill you. Like, I'll actually kill you, okay? In front of everyone. Stay.
And not only that, anybody who has had a dog can tell you that dogs are not discreet. They don't know what that means. They have no notion of discretion. And what I mean by that is that if a dog hurts himself, he's gonna show it. For example, if a dog puts down its foot and it hurts it, it's gonna yelp. And he's gonna do the motion of pulling it back. Their reaction is going to be very obvious and transparent. You don't see that when he says that the dog like caught the nail, claw, whatever. When he says he caught it in the middle of the, you know what I mean. The thing is that he said that Kaya yelped because she hurt her leg pretty much when she stepped down. But you don't see that motion, you don't see that reaction at all. You don't see her pulling her leg up or anything like that, because that's not what hurt her.
Reaching for his ins. Then he said she wasn't wearing a collar. Then he says it's a vibration collar.
The most insane gaslight.
And he made the argument that electric collars are actually okay even if I was using one. He said it's Israeli propaganda. And finally, where we're at now is that it's the gate. It was the gate.
This is the kind of stuff that makes me a little bit embarrassed about stemming from leftist side ideologist. The reason why I started leaning into left ideologist was because I actually used to believe my eyes. I used to realize that there were issues that were real and happening, and there was not enough being done about it. And I was very young, and I used to think, well, the fact that you ignore these things doesn't mean that they don't exist, right? And before I knew it, I realized that I was a lefty. And look at today. The funny thing is that I haven't changed. I'm still doing the same thing. I haven't changed. And literally, I'm doing the same thing. And now the focus of attention are the people who used to be in my own sort of inclination. And now they are... and now I'm putting them into scrutiny. Ain't that crazy? The funny thing is that if a lot of people from those days of my life discover what I do now, they would most likely vilify me, even though I haven't changed at all. and I'm still doing the same thing for the same reasons. Don't believe your eyes should be the slogan of the 2020s. It's always about not accepting facts, not accepting the way you were born as, not accepting hard data, not accepting instinct, not accepting common sense, not accepting history, not accepting tradition, even though they say otherwise, not accepting your body, even though they say otherwise, not accepting your role in your family, in your community, in your species, in the world, not accepting the fact that you actively show yourself over the years doing a certain thing. It's still a lie if you point it out. There is a reason for that, trust me. Your mind needs to be resetted and remolded in order to rebuild you into whatever anybody with enough influence or power can decide what you will be. It's all about creating this idea of inconformity and insecurity. You can't even trust yourself. Cults do that enough to the point that you end up trusting nobody else and relying on nobody else and doing nothing else aside for what the good leader decides that you should do. It's about you drinking that Kool-Aid, you know? That nice, sweet, tasty, refreshing Kool-Aid. What's your favorite? Grape? Strawberry? That rich Kool-Aid. Icy cold, sweet yet tangy Kool-Aid. Don't you want some Kool-Aid? Oh no. Oh no. Fuck. It was actually Sins. And then there was a shock collar, but it didn't have any shocking features on it. Even though you can clearly see that he just taped over it, and he barely even showed it on camera. He showed it way later when everything was already done with the tape over it instead of having shown it in the moment, right? To show everybody, like immediately, like any normal person would have done. You show it, but you show it off camera and covering it with your hand and like, just like for like half a second. Here it is. You see it? Here it is. You catched it. And then it was like, yes, it was a color, but I just didn't want to admit it because you were going to make such a big deal about it. Of course a communist would say something like that. It's not because you're brown.
There is definitely an Islamophobic tint that I've noticed where people are like, of course he does that. He's Muslim.
It is because you are a misinformation machine that creates bad blood amongst people. But then later on, he's white. How does that work?
They had never seen a swagged out white boy like me before.
Well, they have, and they know what you're like. That's why they're like.
So if it's some hardcore socialist or whatever, it is perfectly understandable and justifiable for police officers to target you immediately on sight based on the way that you look like and your inherent race because you agree with their political views. But again, it sounds like a broken record, but imagine if something like that happened in London or the United States, for example, and a cop targets you solely for the way that you look like. Hasan Piker would be saying in a live stream how that is a testimony of the hard systematic violence that is plaguing the country. It shows you the kind of person these people really are at the end of the day. It is okay to be authoritarian and then racist and to cut liberties from people and to have constant invasive surveillance. It is okay to lash against the people that don't believe your own mindset, as long as the ones doing that are the ones pushing the narrative that I like. because at the end of the day, I get something of benefit for my own personal gain. In this case, these socialist movements that are so attractive to left leaning people, at, at the end of the day, why exactly? Well, to not go too in depth into it, left leaning people, the further in the left you get, the most defined of a profile they tend to have. And that profile tends to be a profile that tends to fall into the fringe of society, into people who tend to be unaccomplished or deviant somehow in two ways. They're either hippie, deadbeat losers, or authoritarian, elitist tyrants. The deadbeats don't see a way out of their situation and they don't want to make an effort to get out of that situation. So they have this fantasy of the government just solving things for them and giving them what they want. And a lot of times they don't even want for too much. They just want enough to get by. You see it in countries, especially in well-developed countries, where they hand out a lot of incentives and support for people without a job and stuff like that. And a lot of times, instead of utilizing those incentives temporarily in order to stay on their feet until they get a job or they find something to do, they usually just remain in that position dependent on the incentives, regardless if they are barely enough. Sometimes it doesn't matter, they rather stay there in the hole and not try to improve themselves, because that implicates a lot of things that they don't want to do, pretty much, because they're bums. Or the others who feel that they can fulfill that power fantasy of living in a communist regime, and somehow they're not going to be 99% of the population who is going to be impoverished and very limited, and instead they picture themselves in the elite, the ones doing all those intellectual speeches and giving orders and living in the three nice houses that exist in the country and driving those bulky square black cars that for whatever reason are associated with communists, with their slick haircut and their sober, righteous attitude. It's very attractive, especially to young people. It's very attractive. It has this aura of intellectual anarchy. I don't know how to describe it, but I was never into it. Even though I was never into it. I never felt too hard into lefty standards, I guess, to actually fall into the whole socialist thing. I almost did, but no, it never, I don't know, it never did. It never hit the spot for me. But the authoritarian nature of these kinds of movements becomes really attractive to a lot of people who don't have guidance in their life and feel impotent deep inside. So this thing provides them with this fantasy of like obligatory power. Your command needs to be obeyed and it's obligatory, and nobody can do anything about it. Or the other way around, somebody needs to provide for you because it's the law. In both cases, things need to happen automatically because it's obligatory, and there is an external force that dictates that needs to happen no matter what, exactly that way. And in that matter, you lose personal responsibility. You don't have to take responsibility for your actions because it is simply the way it is. There's an external force that dictates that things have to be that way. You don't have to be responsible for even mistreating your dog, right, Hasan? Why would you care, by the way? Why would I care, or anybody, to care, to make such a big deal about somebody mistreating a dog? Well, at the end of the day, there's a lot of explanations, but it's simple, really. It's just connotations at the end of the day. If you are willing to mistreat an animal, it is very likely that you don't care for the well-beings of others than yourself. And if that's the case, it is very possible that if the situation comes and the other people are exposed to you, or you have some kind of influence or power over others, you're probably not going to care for their well-being either. Exactly like your run-of-the-mill communist dictator. But you don't even have to go that far. If you are not willing to empathize enough with something lesser than you in the food chain, you might say, you raise an alarm already. It's very likely that you're not going to be able to empathize with other beings, like people who you see lesser than you, too. Even people, for the most part, when they get fed up with other human beings and they renounce pretty much society or whatever, and they hate people, a lot of times they turn to animals, birds, lizards, dogs, cats, turtles, fish, spiders, whatever. They turn to animals to empathize with and care for and understand. And then people see the way you behave with animals, and no wonder they have the reaction that they have, dude. It's just the way it is. Suddenly, the fields of Lolcow Rancho became quiet. The Lolcows saw no danger to come out and play. The evil, terrible monster was nowhere to be seen. Hasan's departure to China had likely made him disappear, probably go to sleep, or flee into the wilderness. Finally, there was peace. They could live stream in the middle of the fields, or make TikToks, making the peoples of Happyville very happy. Lolcow Rancho was the only place they ever wanted to be.